Hi, this is Zach Meir with the Bulletin Board Heroes here at Zach's Traders Cafe for Wednesday, the 27th of November. Starting with the FTSE 100, which hopefully is in a bull flag, a mid-move consolidation above the 50-day moving average there at 82.22. We do break out through recent resistance around the 88,300 mark. Obviously, the post-May resistance at 84 beckons, 8400 beckons, and then best case would be up to 8600 at the top of the one-year trend channel by the end of the year. Obviously, that is quite a punchy call, but this is, or we're going into the best time of the year for the stock market. RSI at 58, so right in the box seat for a potential move through 8300 and up towards the best levels of the year. On the downside, not expecting anything worse than the 200-day moving average, currently at 81.36. Moving on to the DAX, and here basically still in that range between 19,000 and 19,500, either side of the 50-day line, around 19,200. Want to see that end-of-day close through 19,500. And then October resistance line to give us a top-of-channel target as high as 20,600, hopefully by the end of the year. But again, a slightly punchy call. Moving on to the Dow, and here we sort of overshot the runway in terms of the rising trend channel that we had there from this time last year. That was at 44,000, but it looks as though there's enough gas in the tank here to get up to 45,200, which was the August resistance line projection. Something which would suggest we're in a more steep trajectory to the upside than we were before within that one-year trend channel. After 45,200, maybe we can then take a view as to how high this market can go, but don't want to jump the gun just at this stage. On to the market, which is perhaps the one that most people are looking at the moment, which is Bitcoin. And here it's all about the relationship between the market now and the old 93,800 peak that we had earlier in the month. On the right side of that, we can get end of day close above 93,800, then we're looking for a retest of, looking for a journey to 100,000. We just missed the big number earlier in the month. On the downside, hoping that that old target there, the March resistance line projection, 88,000 would cap any losses. Hopefully that will be the case. Moving along to gold, and here the recovery as we had it was a bit of a blink and you missed it affair, perhaps affected by the geopolitics, etc. But 2730 was the forecast area for this market to hit as resistance, and we sort of bull trapped through that. Now we want to see this market back above the 50-day moving average 2680 to give us a chance of progressing within that rising trend channel from the beginning of the year. Worst case on the downside is the floor of that channel, currently around 2580. Moving on to the stocks, and starting off with DG Innovate, which had decent news today. Here you can see that we managed to shoot through our first target there around 0.11, and obviously come back from that a bit, but end of day close above that resistance line there from June, 0.11, and we're looking for up to 0.15, the lilac line, if that's the right color, at 0.15 by the end of the year. Ideally, we stay above the floor of the gap there around 009. Moving on to a requested stock, which is Europa oil and gas, and here you can see that we have actually filled the gap that we had, the gap down from October. Want to see an end of day close above 0.85 to give us a chance of moving back up to 1.1 pence, hopefully by the end of the year. We already had the bounce off the broadening triangle from the March period, and then the bullish divergence, a classic pattern, plus also a classic pattern, the W-shaped reversal and the break of the middle of the W at 0.8. Ideally, we now stay above 0.8 for any recovery. On to one of the stocks which has done rather well in the recent past, which is Firering, and we noted this from quite an early stage. I suppose the main breakthrough here was the breakthrough the 200-day moving average around 3.4 pence, golden cross earlier this month, and the second target hit then, or today basically, at 5 3/4 pence. First target was 4 pence, and now we're looking for a fresh leg up to as high as perhaps 9 pence, maybe by the end of the year, while we remain above recent support around the 4.5 pence zone. So above 4.5, looking for it up to 9 there on Firering. stock which likes to move around quite a lot is Faron Pharmaceuticals, and here, interesting at the moment, given that we've got one of our favourite setups, the Bear Trap Island reversal, and that's set on the basis of the gap down we had last month, and then the gap higher this month through the 200-day moving average there at £1.60, above the 200-day line, or at least above the floor of the gap there at 160. Looking for the 50-day moving average as high as £1.87 over the next 2 to 4 weeks. And we'd also help, by the way, we've got that W-shaped turnaround and the middle of the W around the 160 area as well. On to Helix, which had a bit of a rug pull for the shareholders after today's announcement. We were actually trading above both the 50 and 200-day lines, but for the second time this month we've had to trade, or the second time in the recent past, we're trading at or near the mid-teens. Ideally, the shares closed back above the old September low there, around 15 pence or 15 and a quarter pence. Above that, then there's a chance of filling the gap back up to 20 pence. But it'd be interesting to see whether we can have a swifter recovery this month or going into December as we did back after the September rug pull. But still within the confines of a broadening triangle, and therefore not out in terms of the bull argument. In fact, that line there at 13 pence is almost a perfect fit on the floor of the triangle, and therefore a potential entry point for traders. Moving on to stock which is rarely out of the bulletin board heroes, and here we have Global Petroleum. We've had that consolidation basically based at 0.16, looking for a break at the top of the range, 0.23, to then take us up to the highs. But hopefully this revival will shoot through that 0.23 level, ideally on an end-day close basis. RSI is also broken through neutral 50 for the first time in the best part of a month, so it looks as though from the technicals this is ready to have a fresh leg to the upside. Obviously, we don't want to see the shares below 0.16, but at least 0.16 is the obvious support area there. Moving on to Kefi, and here you can see that we're going nowhere fast, but at least the positive here is that we were bouncing off the 50-day line there at 0.59. Above that, it's just a range trade up to 0.7 pence, so not really too exciting at the moment. Presumably another jam tomorrow. RNS is on its way very soon. Moving on to Mkango, where we've hit for the second time our target line there. That was at 8 pence. Fresh leg to the upside, looking for 10.5 pence. Hopefully over the next week, or even sooner. Actually, the way things are going might be by the end of this week. Ideally, we stay on the right side of the initial November resistance around 7.8 pence. On to a rather larger stock than we normally look at, but couldn't resist this one. It's a Bear Trap Island reversal from Motorpoint, gapping down early in the month 3 times and then gapping up now. So that's a bit of a handbrake turn, and looking for the shares to hit the top of that rising trend channel from the beginning of the month, as high as £1.50 by the end of next month. Ideally, we hold today's intraday support for the stock just below £1.30, i.e. £1.28. On to a stock which had a decent blip to the upside earlier in the week, and still holding on to most of its gains. The notional best case scenario target here was 0.047 for Oracle Power, so maybe we'll have another go at that while we remain above the old July resistance around 0.027. But a surprising turnaround there, even though it has to be noted that most of the rallies that we see in the stock tend to be sold into, so ideally we do stay above that 0.027 level. Surprise inclusion today is Premier African, with the shares apparently within a rising trend channel base. The top of the channel there at least up to 0.057, so we're not too far away from that. And we're looking for further upside, albeit very tentatively, while we remain above the 50-day moving average at 0.04. But obviously, at any moment, we could get placings, fundraisers, etc., on that situation. Moving on to Brome Resources, where there has been an investor presentation this morning, and here you see that the shares Still within that rising trend channel from July, the floor of the channel and old resistance there at 0.34. So while we're above that, still looking for the shares to make progress within a channel, ultimately heading up to 0.5 pence. Obviously, assay results, etc., are a factor there. Finishing off with another spiky stock this week, which is Streaks, and here breaking that initial November resistance around 0.23. Above that, the logical target, as it always is, is still the 200-day moving average at 0.41. The black line there, and then the best case would be maybe by the end of January, something like that, up to 0.67 at the top of that broadening triangle there from back in April. Ideally, we stay above the 0.3 area. That was resistance on the way down. That's it for me today. More updates tomorrow.